What up, folks? How's everybody doing? Hey, as you know, I'm Chris. Rob couldn't make it tonight. Something wicked is going on. What it is, I don't know. Anyway, hey, if you guys don't know Chris Dattoli, you should. He is, now I got to read this just because I want to make sure I'm saying it right. He is a professional. Yes, folks, a professional voice Ctor. Did I say that right?
Give or take a few syllables. I think you pretty much got it.
I probably added like 7 of them. You know us Italians, we got to add the
Yeah,
syllable.
we end it all in vowels, so
Exactly. So explain to our audience what a voice Ctor is.
So essentially, I spend about a good 6 to 8 hours of my day talking to myself in a padded room, which when I was younger, being the youngest child in my family and being the most craziest out of my brothers, my father always told me, Chris, when you're older, I guarantee you're going to be in a padded room talking to yourself. And I'm very happy to prove him right.
That a boy, I like it. I like it. Now, how did you get started in doing voice work?
So I've done radio broadcasting for a while. And just to clarify, if you do radio broadcasting, that doesn't mean necessarily you can do voice acting or voiceovers.
Okay.
I did a few, but I was in radio broadcasting for probably well over a decade. And when I was a kid, back when they actually had the Nickelodeon studios in Florida, I actually was on a pilot for a TV show. It was supposed to be like kids versus adults, but it eventually became Wild and Crazy Kids. And
Nice.
I actually was on Wild and Crazy Kids too. So that was like my little taste of stardom.
There you go.
Uh, a friend of mine introduced me to a website. It was called the Voice Acting Alliance.
Okay.
I did a few like projects here and there, and a narrator, excuse me, an author actually contacted me and say, "Listen, I like your voice. Would you mind auditioning for my book?" And I
Wow.
said, "Sure." It was an audio version of a book, so I did that, and that was my first. I got the job. That was my first really big paying gig, and I said to myself, "Well, if I'm gonna do this, I have to do it right." So I went and got training from several coaches. Then I made my demos, and then I started networking, and then I started applying to different agencies, and here I am today. And I've been doing this professionally for 6, 7 years now.
Wow, that's phenomenal. I got to be honest. I never would have thought that there would have been, coaches for voiceovers. I mean, that's actually kind of interesting because, you always hear acting coaches and music coaches, so on and so forth. But I never would have put all that together as a voice coach as
Yeah, a
well.
lot of people think it's voice acting. Well, the second word in voice acting is acting.
True.
Well, I've done theater a lot through my whole life. I did Renaissance Fair. I'm also a nerd. I used to do LARPing too, which is live action role playing. So,
Yes.
I've done that and I loved improv theater. And this is just another way to kind of build off. And voice acting, it's such a fun challenge because whereas in acting, you can, read on their face, all right, they're mad. With voice acting, they have to hear you mad. They have to hear that smile in your voice, which is a little more different. And you have to actually fight, pretend. I actually cried, bled, sweat, and excuse me, sweat in my studio so many times just to get the right emotion out.
I bet. I bet that's interesting. Or pinch yourself or do something like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
There'll be
So,
times. Oh God.
I got like 20,000 questions that are coming into my head right now. Yeah, I got a little list of questions, just kind of noticed, but so many more are coming out. And I got to ask this one. I'm sitting here thinking, you're talking about how you have to put all this emotion in. Now you read a character and you're sitting there going, oh, yes, I've got this voice, or wait, hold on, would this be voice? I mean, does it take you like a few days after reading a script to realize what voice you want to do, or what kind of process do you go through?
I wish I had that much time. A lot of times it's sometimes a few hours because I try to turn around all my recorded files within 24 hours, depending on my client. A lot of times when we have auditions, they say it's due at this time. And I have multiple auditions and multiple paid work to do throughout the day. So I have to just dive into the character. Fortunately, every time I get a script for a character, they give a little breakdown of it. They say so and so, they give a background of the character.
Okay.
Sometimes a little too much. I don't need to know this character, lived alone with 3 brothers and 2 of his brothers were killed. And now, I'm like, all right, what kind of tone are you looking for? I look at the character work and then I kind of try different voices. And whatever I think fits, I always give two takes. My first take, I always improv a little bit. Not that I completely change the script, but
Right.
I'll add a word or two, or maybe even a comma, a pause in certain words. Or as well, if the line is screaming, instead of screaming, I'm going to approach my mic and talk real deeply. That way, it adds more of a scary effect to it. And the second take, I'll give more towards the direction that they give and everything. Because a lot of times, everyone's going to read the script one way. And if I try to carefully and professionally do it another way, that's going to make the, person, the casting director can go, oh, okay, that's interesting.
I like it. Two takes. That's interesting. Here's one take. Here you go. Boom. God. I never would have thought
Yeah.
an A and a B take. Which one do you want? I
It's
like.
actually one of my favorite actors is Jack Nicholson, and he said, go with your gut. I don't know the quote verbatim, but he said something along the lines of, go with your gut how you think this line should go. If not, they don't like it, take two.
True. I like it. That brings up a great question. I know, Jack, you just brought up Jack Nicholson, but who else is an influence of yours?
Mark Hamill, without a doubt. Steve Bloom, Gary Oldman's one of my favorite actors, and Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah.
I have to say, two different fields. Steve Bloom and Mark Hamill primarily do voice acting.
Yeah.
As we all know, Mark Hamill was in a little sci-fi movie a while ago.
Yeah. A few years back. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I always appreciated that. And Steve Bloom, I actually there was a game that came out on PlayStation. It was called Brave Fencer Musashi, and one of the main characters on it was a guy named John. And I'm like, I as a kid, I'm like, I kind of like that guy's voice. He sounds pretty. I actually found out a year ago that was Steve Bloom. And the whole time I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know that was Steve Bloom. Like I couldn't believe it.
Oh, wow.
So just hearing his very distinct voice, but how he can play around with it. And of course, Peter Collins is another one. And Frank Welker, without a doubt, is one of my idols and who's basically voiced everyone who grew up in the 80s childhood. I mean, you name it, and still today.
Yeah. No, that's cool. I think that's totally cool. It amazes me that a lot of people don't realize what Mark Hamill had done on the Batman cartoon series. He was the Joker, and he never would have known it was him until I said I had to know who this person was, and I was, thrown back
Yeah.
on how amazing of a job that he did. Anyway, sorry, I was having a Farleyism there, so I apologize.
Oh, no problem, no problem. I'm here to dive with you, buddy.
Okay. In your profile reading, another one I got to pick up because there's no way I can say this without looking at it. So
No problem.
I'm going to laugh really hard too, because I'm going to butcher it. Kuroki Maeba. The ReBite of, sorry, I got to throw my glasses on. I'm getting old for this. Cut that part out, Rob. We're going to retake. Take two. Here we go. Kuroki Maeba, ReBite, the Psychopathic Chef. Aren't all chefs psychopaths anyway?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So, what was that role like for you?
That was pretty interesting. It was more, just kind of everyone was had certain delicacies they were fond of, and one they weren't. Everyone loved ramen, and I was a guy who absolutely hated ramen, even though in real life I love ramen.
Yeah.
So just hearing that and kind of diving a little deeper, he wasn't really an antagonist, but he certainly wasn't a protagonist. So it was just kind of flirting that line between evil and chaos. I personally love playing villains because it's an extreme, where good guys, hey, sword and board, hero, I'm here to save you. Villains, you go a little crazier.
Yeah.
That actually probably one of my emotional roles. I actually did an audiobook with my daughter.
Oh, wow.
And it was probably one of the most emotional tollings on me because she was playing the victim of a certain circumstance, and I was the guy essentially torturing her. And it was only 3 lines, but what I had to do to get my daughter like prepped up, I actually this is right when the very first It movie came out, and she was terrified of it. So when I should say the remake, It Chapter One with I'm drawing a blank as Bill Skarsgård as
Hmm.
it was that one scene with Georgie, and she hated that. I was terrified, so I would constantly play that over and over and over again. And had a little screen in my booth, and it would just pop out of nowhere, and she would get terrified, and I go, read the lines," and then me and her would kind of go off one another. Um, me basically torturing her, and it to me like I hated it. My daughter was fine afterwards. She was like, "Oh yeah, I like that."
Yeah, of course. They're like, yeah, no biggie, dad. But as
Yeah,
dads, I mean, we're big suckers. We don't want to see our daughters go through anything like that.
exactly.
But that must have been also because I know I was able to coach my daughters in softball, and for me, that was huge. Being able to work with them because I have an extensive history of coaching baseball and softball, and to watch them and how they progressed. That must have been kind of the same way for you, being able to work with your daughter and kind of getting those little heart flutters and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get it. You understand. So,
Yeah. It's differently when you're a parent and you get to see those little joys and everything. So,
oh my God, yes, totally, totally. All right. So, your favorite character that you've ever got to do, and would you want to do him extensively? Just do it, keep doing him, doing him, doing him.
oh gosh.
Or her, you never know.
Yeah, there was a few different ones. There was a video game called Brigandine, which was exclusively sold in Japan, and then they brought it over for the English uh, dub. I played Zemeckis, Cador, and actually a lot others. I would have to say, I'm probably butchering Zemeckis, I think his name, or Cador. Cador, I actually really enjoyed because he was the antagonist pretty much throughout the entire game. And then at the very end, he kind of, spoilers, sort of like made a heroic motion that kind of redeemed himself. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like the whole time he flat out Jamie Lannister from Game of Thrones. Like he's the bad guy. He's the bad guy.
Yep.
Wait, here's why he's like this. And then all of a sudden he's the good guy now. Another one was, of course, another video game I was in. It was, oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank on. They're going to kill me now. It's going to come to me. Forgive me.
No worries.
Hang on.
All good.
Save it. Oh my gosh. Why am I drawing a blank on it? Oh man. It'll come to me later. I'm sorry.
No worries.
But,
Hey, it's all good. Trust me, I'm a big blank. I've had 2 strokes, 2 heart attacks. So every time I have those brain fades.
oh, now I remember. It was Khan in the game Konsui Fighter. He
Okay.
was essentially this demon overlord, and he was a secret character. And I can now finally say the secret character because the longest time, like, no, 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 we're gonna wait to release. We're gonna wait to release this. And that was I love because that really got me into. I love fighting games, and that got me really into like the whole body motion and everything, like giving it in my all and screaming. And they actually have some footage of me behind the scenes doing like screaming and everything, and I think it was awesome. So that's
All right.
definitely one of my characters I play. A lot of times I do primarily a lot of medical narration, a lot of the uncool stuff with voiceover, but I do a lot of video games and audiobooks as well. But those are stuff that, pay the one of the highest.
That's cool. That is so cool. So in your bio, it also says you do commercials as well as games and as well as audiobooks. So hey folks, Chris Dattoli, great voice. You got to check him out. Anyway, God, I'm saying way too much. I get excited when I do these and the hands start flying. And
Oh, no problem, no problem.
if you
Actually,
notice,
I keep my door open.
oh,
Let me just, there we go.
there we go. Now you say you like the fighting games. I really got to know what game you really like to play then.
There's a couple. I'm a big fan of Mortal Kombat, the original. I'd say Mortal Kombat 2 and 3. I love any type of Mega Man game, but I have to say my two ultimate favorite games are Blaster Master and Monster Party. They are old NES games.
Yes.
Blaster Master, I still don't know the story. Essentially, guy had a pet frog. Pet frog jumped out of his little tank and into a giant pit that had this giant radioactive material in it, mutated and became a monster. Kid jumped down the hole to find him, and then found a mechanical cyber suit and went out to find the frog and fight monsters.
Oh my God.
And Monster Party was just a weird, like, throw me out of nowhere. A kid was walking home from a baseball game, saw a shooting star, turned out to be a dragon, and now he's on a quest to stop evil forces, but they're like in the shape of fried corn dogs, fried onions. You go through different tunnels. There's a spider that says, "Hi, I'm sorry, I'm dead." So it's just so weird. So that's a couple of my favorite, and I have to say Final Fantasy because that kind of breached me into really going deep with RPGs.
I got you. I'm a Call of Duty kind of guy.
Okay.
I really like my Call of Duties. I kind of took a break for a couple of years because I just was putting way too much time into video games, and so I took a little break. Still am on, but that's okay. That happens. What would you tell a young Chris? What kind of advice would you give him?
Don't go with this guy and study, study, study. It's a marathon, not a race. And when you get it, keep working hard. Because
Nice.
just to know back, because starting off, I made a very rookie mistake of making my own demos, and it actually took a bunch of professionals saying like, no, you don't do that. Here's why. And after learning that, I'm like, oh my gosh, you're right. I went with one person who I thought was a reputable coach. Turns out he wasn't. I got screwed out a lot of money with that. Then learning the difference between a coach and a demo producer, you know, and just so much knowledge. I could have saved so much money, but I learned a long time ago, life is a hard teacher because she gives you the test before the lesson. So now I have a lot of experience, and experience is just F ups. And, I got a lot of it.
Oh yeah.
So looking back, it's obtainable. And I would never think, I would do as many voice work as I have right now. I actually do a lot of on camera work now too, which that kind of threw me out of left field because that's something I never really wanted to do. It was strictly voiceover. But then, I just started getting one. Then I started getting model work. Then I started getting this work. And to tell myself, you're going to be a model for this print ad. You're going to be in this movie with Meek Mills. You're going to be in this production for with this basketball player. It's just incredible learning everything, and to think you're going to get a contract with this company that you're going to be able to just do voiceover for full time. I would have never thought about that 6-7 years ago, and it was just keep working. And today I still keep working. I always want to strive for the best in everything. I always want to become a better version of myself. I don't want to say I want to be the best voice actor out there, but
Right.
just to always improve, because the wonderful thing about voiceover is you never stop learning. I just had a session earlier today and I learned something with one of my coaches.
Oh, that's
I'm
cool.
like, I didn't think about that.
That is totally cool. That's some great advice for not only, a young Chris, but even somebody for me. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Hey, anytime. I'm full of a lot of useful and useless knowledge.
Okay. I got a lot of useless knowledge as well. Just ask my
Yeah.
wife. She'll tell you. Boy. Um, so now I want to ask you three questions. They're kind of in succession. And it's kind of a building type question. And I know
Oh,
I'm
sure.
parlaying it again, but that's just me and the way that I ask questions. Okay, you ready?
Go ahead.
So what do you think you do well?
Take direction well.
Cool. What would you do differently?
I would be more confident in myself.
Nice. And what do you think you need work on?
Again, not getting jealous at other people's success, because we say, oh, there's plenty of work to go around, but to see, and I would have to say with that, not get jealous and decipher the bull crap. because a lot of people say, hey, I got this job, I got this job, oh, look at this game, look at this, and then I'm like, oh, that's cool, I kind of want to get that, shucks. But then, so many the professionals that I networked with and that I studied under, they taught me to look more. Like, wait a minute, okay, they got this job, but I think I remember this job. And then to see, they put it on another site and the rate was just so low, to hear that, that's another thing I learned, what to charge, like charge rates that are fair to yourself. You put in the work. I put in thousands of dollars, and to be where I am today, I need to charge accordingly. I mean, if an architect or a electrician came over and, rewired my entire house for $50, yeah, that'd be great. But I would also think, why was it so cheap? Usually that's a couple of hundred, if not thousand. There's also, you get what you pay for that. So sorry, I go on trailing with that, but
No, it's actually great. Don't shortchange yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Shortchange yourself. And, a lot of people say like, oh, I got this. I just think now I'm at that point where I got that. That's awesome. Mine's going to come. I keep at it. Mine's going to come.
Exactly. So where can we find you? Where would you like us to send folks? Where do you give props to?
Sure. There's my website. It's dattolivoiceovers.com.
It'll be down there.
Yeah. I got a fancy Italian last name. So I'm also on, social media channels, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, where I give a lot of tips on the industry. It's Chris Dattoli VO. And I also post a lot on my projects. You can catch me on the video game Konsui Fighter. You can catch me in the movie Free Meek. Let's see what else. Various other projects I was in. It used to be, if you call up the state of New Jersey, the on hold messaging, I was on it.
Oh, nice.
But I think they changed it. So there's also a few other projects I unfortunately can't talk about yet. Yeah. But when they come to fruition, I will definitely mention them, because there's a few of them I'm extremely excited about. But, we have something called NDAs that we signed that we can't say crap.
Yep.
So
literally.
Exactly.
I couldn't even say if there was a color blue in it or not. I mean,
yeah.
Yep. I get it. Well, hey, Chris, I just wanted to say thank you very much. I appreciate your time. Learned a lot. And
thank you for having me. I love being on these podcasts. I really appreciate it. If you ever want me to come back again, I would love to come back again.
You got it. We'll have the other guy, that's at Wicked right now. We'll have him come. Yeah, it happens. Anyway, hey, folks, we want to thank you for watching us. We love you like always. Please subscribe. Don't forget to check out Chris. And you guys have a great day and a better tomorrow. What up?